the RCWR show. We are coming at you for December 16th, 2019. How the hell y'all been, man? A very well-rested Lee Sanders here. Hey, man, we got to address a major elephant in the room, and have no fear, man. When it comes to the talk of all wrestling and beyond, you know we got you covered every single week and have been since 2011. I got to be real with you guys. Some of you guys may be, wait a minute, Lee, I saw or I heard your NWA Into the Fire recap. Appreciate those of you that did go out of your way to check that out. I like what I'm seeing as far as the NWA coverage there, man. I mean, that was our official first outing talking about NWA, and I like the positive feedback I've been getting from that so far. To the point, definitely going in 2020, it's going to help me kind of figure out, okay, what are we going to be talking about in 2020, but at the same time, what are we not going to be talking about in 2020? So definitely I like what I've been seeing so far with that NWA stuff, and I got some NWA news too later on during the broadcast. But yeah, I had said towards the end of the NWA Into the Fire that there was going to be a WWE TLC post show, and I had so much to juggle Sunday, it wasn't even funny. So Sunday, on top of doing voiceovers, and then I was also doing a little bit of narrating for a couple of clients, I also had to go to my woman's Christmas party. This was her work Christmas party, and I had been dreading going to this for like a couple of weeks because I'm just the type of person, I don't like being social in a working environment type of atmosphere. Now, I know when you're like, well, wait a minute, it's a work Christmas party, you can kind of let your hair down a little bit. That's not really my definition of fun. My definition of fun is, and I'm not telling you guys anything that my woman doesn't already know, because we were talking about this back and forth off and on for a couple of weeks. I said, it's not my definition of fun. My definition of fun is kicking back, hanging out with friends and family, getting to eat on, getting the drink on. Don't have to worry about showing up to work the next day. Hey, man, you had one too many drinks. Oh my God, I can't believe you had said XYZ. So I really was not looking forward to doing the Christmas party, but my girl was like, hey, they're gonna have some alcohol. You're gonna be okay. Just tag along with me. And so I had the Christmas party, and I kept telling her, I said, look, I gotta be back in time for the TLC pay-per-view. I'm not really tripping over the pre-show. I can just kind of off the cuff watch that at the party, but I definitely need to be paying attention to the pay-per-view. So we kind of made a deal, and it was basically, okay, look, once we have our dinner, and they usually have this big festival thing where they're giving out Christmas bonuses and all that to everybody, acknowledging everybody's accomplishments for what they did this year. Once we get all that in the books, then we can pretty much roll out. I said, okay, all right, cool. So, and up here in the DC metropolitan area, her office actually ended up saying they were going to open, I think, 2 hours later, because you know how it is over here in the DC metropolitan area. You hear a little bit of snow and ice, and all of a sudden it's the end of the goddamn world. But I was able to see the first hour. I was able to see the pre-show for sure. I was a little bit distracted here and there, but I was able to see the pre-show. And then I had watched the pay-per-view on the way home. And I tell you what, man, I was with the pay-per-view up until the main event match, and it was refreshing to hear some of my colleagues say how I was feeling. And I didn't want to, I thought maybe it was the alcohol that was kind of getting to me just a little bit. I mean, all they had was wine. They didn't have anything hardcore, but you have enough wine and it gets to you after a while, especially when you haven't even eaten a meal that whole day. So, because I had knots in my stomach just anticipating this damn Christmas party, so I wanted to try to be as loose as possible, and mission accomplished. But yeah, man, for me, it felt like a chore watching that TLC pay-per-view, to the point I remember right when it was the start of the main event match, I just said, I tried. I really tried to hang with this, but this just feels like a regular edition of Monday Night Raw. It feels like a Raw, SmackDown, NXT Super Show. That's what it feels like. It almost kind of feels like a glorified house show to a degree. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to call it a night. And my girl kept checking on me. She said, okay, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to do a show? I said, I don't really feel as though I should be doing the show. What do you think? And she goes, nah, you had one too many drinks. Yeah, I don't really think you should be doing the show. You're going to be a little bit too animated as usual if you do the show. So if you kind of want to maybe put the blame on somebody for there not being a TLC post show, you could kind of put it on the little lady because she really, I tell you, and I didn't know. I only remember just a little bit of what I had said yesterday, but apparently I had said a lot of funny shit that had her in tears, and she gave me play by play of what went down earlier today, and I kind of was glad that, and I don't know, for some of you guys, it might have been kind of cool to see a very animatedly doing the TLC post show and everything. Look, I don't want to do a full blown review on TLC because by now you all have probably done your regular fix of other podcasts. I know there's a lot of you guys that make your rounds checking out other podcasts, seeing what they have to say about certain things when it comes to wrestling. But for those of you that just want my WWE TLC afterthoughts in a nutshell, this is what I can honestly say, and I think a lot of my friends and colleagues would definitely agree with me on this point, which is I think that for the month of December, WWE, if they can help it, they should not do any more pay-per-views. I think make December be all about telling weeks worth of WWE programming and setting up your WWE Royal Rumble pay-per-view event. I think honestly that's what it needs to be all about, right? To the point when we were checking out WWE Raw tonight, they did promote the January, I think it's January 26th, that the Royal Rumble is going to be coming up. And I'm actually looking at my calendar right now, and I need for you guys to bear with me a second here. And I can tell you, I believe I have that date right of January 26th here. Let me just pull up December here. And December, where are we here? December, here we are, we're already in January. Yeah, January 26th is when the Royal Rumble is. Okay, so we are about a month, maybe a week or something like that, you know, leading into the Royal Rumble pay-per-view event. I just feel that, look, we just did the WWE Starrcade event, right? We just did that. And going into after that, the TLC, it's, well, do we really need to do that? Seriously, did we really need to do another pay-per-view? I get the whole, the last WWE pay-per-view of the calendar year and all that other jazz. I get that. But if it means that creatively your booking, your writing is going to be 5 times stronger by eliminating that pay-per-view, and you can just focus on your TV shows and you can focus on the storyline you're trying to tell going into the Royal Rumble, then I think it makes all the sense in the world to just go on ahead and get rid of the December pay-per-view. Whether or not WWE is going to do that remains to be seen. But yeah, it felt like a glorified house show when it was all said and done. I will say this much. From TLC, there was a couple of matches that did catch my eye that I do want to give props to. And off the break, I want to give props to Buddy Murphy taking on Aleister Black. I thoroughly had enjoyed it. Now, some of you guys may just remember a few seconds ago, a couple of drinks from the Christmas party kind of went to my head a little bit. I remember some things before things got a little bit out of hand and I was having a little bit too much fun. But I actually did take the liberty and watch TLC again earlier today. And yeah, I'm doubling down. The Buddy Murphy taking on Aleister Black, that was a fantastic freaking match. I really enjoyed the hell out of both of those guys. That was the most entertaining. Out of TLC, for me, the match that stands out the most was definitely that one, and I would not mind seeing those two guys continue to go at it for a couple of more pay-per-views. It kind of follows up to what I had said a couple of weeks ago, which was, Aleister Black, Buddy Murphy, it would kind of actually be an interesting tag team. So I don't know if maybe after these two guys are feuding against each other for a couple of months, I don't know if everything will culminate in them as a tag team, but man, what they did at TLC, my hat's off to them. I was most impressed with that matchup. See, looking at the rest of it here. By the way, the pre-show match, Humberto Carrillo taking on Andrade. Yeah, for the pre-show, I enjoyed that. That one was actually pretty damn good. The ladder match opener for TLC, New Day taking on the Revival for his SmackDown tag titles. That was a phenomenal matchup as well. Definitely want to give all of those guys in that tag team ladder match a big, big round of applause, because that was pretty fucking phenomenal. To see the one spot there where Kofi Kingston bounces off of the ropes and he somehow turns it into a tornado DDT on one of the Revival boys. Wow. I mean, I continue to be amazed. Just when I think I've seen it all from one Kofi Kingston, he continues to amaze me with what he's able to do in that ring. Just when I think I've seen it all. And I think most fans can definitely agree with that. See, I'm just looking at the rest of the matches here, rest of the card here. Lashley, Rusev, not too shabby. The Bray Wyatt Miz, that one I really scratched my head at that one. I'm a big Bray Wyatt fan. Hell, you guys know I'm doing a painting on Bray Wyatt. I could have done without that. What was even kind of whoa is the fact that this was not for the Universal Championship. And I get it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. The real story that you were trying to tell here is not so much about Miz taking on Bray Wyatt, but more so about Daniel Bryan trying to extract revenge on what Bray Wyatt did to him a couple of weeks back, snatching him bald, snatching his beard, and all that crap, right? So I get that, but that really left a bitter taste in my mouth that the Universal Championship was not on the line. Even if it was going to be a case where you won it for the Kabuki Warriors, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and you have the women's tag titles on the line, you wanted that to close out your show. I'm down with that, but man, we couldn't at least put that Universal Championship on the line. I would have loved to see some type of extra incentive why we should kind of give a damn about this match. I mean, don't get me wrong, the storyline was there and everything, but why not put the title on the line? That one just kind of left me scratching my head a little bit. But looking at the rest of the card here, King Corbin taking on Roman Reigns. Yeah, I'll give it up to those two boys. I'm a bit tired of the feud, but I'll give it up. Those two boys, they delivered a good matchup as well. But I mean, scale of 1 to 10 there for the match, for the whole entire pay-per-view card, I would have to give it a 6. I can't go any lower. I damn sure can't go any higher. I got to give it a modest 6. A lot of those matches I really could have done without. And I did go back afterwards, since I did tune out on the main event match with the Kabuki Warriors taking on Becky and Charlotte. I did go back, check that out. The girls did okay. A little bit concerned there for Kairi Sane. Saw those bumps that you all were talking about and everything. And as we all saw from Monday Night Raw tonight, it looked as though Kairi Sane was not there in attendance, at least not gracing us with her appearance. If she was actually there in the back, we don't really know anything about that. But it was a pay-per-view that honestly, it was not a case of you got to stop what you're doing and you have to check this out. You got to go out of your way. You got to watch this. If you did not watch the pay-per-view, you actually were okay. If instead you made the investment to, I don't know, check out some NFL action or go check out a movie, or if you were doing any and everything else besides checking out the pay-per-view, you actually were okay. I tell you what, the Broken Skull sessions with Goldberg, now that definitely was worth staying up and checking out. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we got Monday Night Raw tonight. Shout out to the fans too that are sitting or have been sitting at the Raw episode tonight, because they had to sit through about 5 hours there, because remember, WWE, since we got Christmas coming up and everything, WWE, as either as we speak or they did it much earlier in the day, they had taped 2 additional hours of WWE content. So they taped enough for basically Raw, and safe to say maybe they did a little bit of something for SmackDown. Who knows? But definitely they taped some stuff for next week's Raw. So, you hear that and damn, the fans that are coming to these shows, they're already there by about an hour, maybe 2 hours in advance, because they want to go get some really cool merchandise, get to their seats, get nice and set up, get familiar with where everything is, restrooms, all that good jazz. And all right, they're there. But now it's not a case where, oh yeah, so we're here and yeah, we just got here about an hour, 2 hours. No, now it's a case where you're going to be there much longer. Now some fans may be okay with that, because since they were able to see some stuff that's going to be happening for next week, they're going, oh, okay, well, this is extra incentive here. But that is long. That is very, very draining to a certain degree. So I can't wait to see how that energy is going to be for those other shows. I'm most curious if they did the stuff earlier before Raw, or if they're doing it post Raw. I'm kind of curious how they're going to be setting that up and everything. But that is taxing. That is very taxing. I've gone to enough WWE events, and I can tell you that depending on what is going to be happening at those shows, sometimes it can be a bit draining. I can remember one time there was supposed to be a dark match, and it was a tag match, and I can't remember who was part of it. It was like one of the last times I was at a WWE event on a regular, and I just remember going, now we ain't got time for that. Like, Metro station is about to close, gotta hop on that rail to get back home. Ain't nobody got time for that. And I remember me and a bolo of other people, we freaking rolled out, because there was a lot of us that was trying to catch the train back home and everything, because we did not want to get stuck taking the Lyft and the Uber, because the Lyfts and the Ubers out here in the metropolitan area, they charge a arm and a freaking leg. The surcharges over here, it's out the ass ridiculous. So I just remember going, yeah, nah, bump that, I'm gone. So, more power to the fans that are going to be able to have already sat through all of that. I wish that they could have just done something where they just spaced it out little by little over the course of a couple of weeks and everything. Key points from tonight's Monday Night Raw here. So we had, and I really wish we would have got graced with an appearance by these guys at the pay-per-view, but Seth Rollins, AOP, that really would have been kind of nice to have, even if it was a talking segment or whatever, or they wanted to make an example out of somebody. I would have loved to have seen those guys on the pay-per-view, but we basically got a follow-up from what Rollins and AOP had did to Kevin Owens last week. No Kevin Owens in the house on this episode here. Rollins cutting a very interesting promo to the WWE fans, basically saying, look, whether you love me or you loathe me, one thing you need to get used to, whether it's going to be by hook or it's going to be by crook for the next decade, I am going to continue to be here. I am going to continue to be the leader, and I am going to continue to put this company on my back. And whether you all want to tag along for a ride or not, that's just how it's going to be. And for those of you that impose my will, if there are those of you that are going to try to resist, then the AOP will enforce my will upon you. And he said in advance that he was very sorry for what was going to be happening later on in the night, as he had a score to settle. So you hear that, you're going, well, it can't be Kevin Owens, or is it? What exactly is going on here? And is Kevin Owens going to somehow come to the rescue or whatever? What are we talking about here? And later on, we would find out exactly what that score was that Seth Rollins had to settle. The score he had to settle had to do with Rey Mysterio. connecting the dots there. I love the consistency here. I definitely give the writers credit here. So remember, one of the last times we had saw Kevin Owens, he was sharing a backstage segment with Rey Mysterio. Ray gave him that toilet metal bat, basically saying, here, if you need some assistance, my buddy here can help you out. And we saw how that really didn't help Kevin Owens in the end there. So Seth Rollins kind of, as far as he's concerned, owes Rey Mysterio one, and AOP Rollins doing a nice gang up on Ray. Now, this came as a result of what went down post the Gauntlet match. We had a Gauntlet match that went down tonight. Now, look, a couple of bright spots here on Monday Night Raw. When there's bright spots, I will definitely give creed and I will acknowledge those bright spots. When there are bad spots, I got to be consistent here. It's only fair, okay? And look, I know some people, they probably are not feeling this new Seth Rollins story arc. Some people feel that the ship's already passed. You know, I don't want to rehash from what we talked about already last week. I mean, me, definitely a few of my colleagues are going, okay, you know what? Let's see what happens here with Rollins. That promo that he had cut last week, really setting the tone there, setting everything up. Okay, you have my attention. One of the best promos you've cut in a very long time. Really into this. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Continue it on. His promo that he cut tonight somewhat matched that same level of energy. No flubs whatsoever. His execution and everything, I mean, he was continuing to be smooth for another consecutive week here. And we've all experienced those growing pains with Seth Rollins on the microphone in the previous years. So it's nice to see him now in this position where he's really loose. He's really comfortable and everything. I'm not going to be so quick, unlike others, to take a massive shit on this. And if that puts me on the opposite side of the fence to some of you guys, then so be it. But, you know, I'm not going to, after 2 weeks, shit upon this. I'm just not. I need to see at least 2 to 3 months body of work to then really, okay, this is where we are so far. This is where things need to be tweaked a little bit, and then we'll kind of go from there. But Rollins, I got to give him credit. He followed up on what he had did from last week's promo and everything, and he's continuing to ride on out there. There was a Gauntlet match, and look, as complimentary as I was there, Seth and everything, what the fuck was the point of the Gauntlet match? Let's not beat around the bush with that. Okay, so we had this Gauntlet match where whoever won this Gauntlet match was going to face Rey Mysterio for his United States Championship, right? And the Gauntlet match lasted about a damn hour. It was fantastic. The participants that were in that one, it was Akira Tozawa, R-Truth, Ricochet, Matt Hardy, Humberto Carrillo. So, you know, this was fantastic. Kicking it off, it was Truth and Tozawa. Tozawa coming out of that. And then it was Ricochet taking on Tozawa. That was fucking fantastic. Ricochet had advanced from that. Ricochet took on Matt Hardy. That was an insane matchup. Just freaking insane. It really could have gone either way. It was a little bit confusing because when you see that Ricochet has successfully pinned Matt Hardy, the bell did not ring. The referee did not call for the bell. The referee did not point over at the announcer's table to say, hey, Ricochet, he won. He advanced. Matt Hardy's out. There was just this moment of silence and kind of shock. And okay, was there a botch? Did something happen that we weren't supposed to see here? You know, did the ref mess up? Was there a miscue? What exactly went down here? And so it took about maybe 90 seconds before the official announcement was made that Ricochet had defeated Matt Hardy. So that was kind of weird how that was, but all of that was fantastic. And I appreciate the fact that they did go back and show the instant replay to let us know, yeah, it was a 3 count that Ricochet had got on Matt Hardy. So all of that was phenomenal. So then Humberto Carrillo. It was Humberto Carrillo taking on Ricochet. That was fucking phenomenal. Humberto coming out of that just barely. And then it was, who was it? It was Andrade. Andrade actually had came out, and you're kind of led to the impression that, okay, well, maybe this was the last opponent and this pretty much was going to be it. And so before the match could officially have a, all right, both men are in, let's ring the bell, let's get it on, Andrade comes out there and just puts a hurting on Humberto. Right down to the point, some of the action went outside of the ring. Andrade pulling out the padding outside the ring, exposing hard concrete, does a devastating move on Carrillo head first and everything. And Ray comes out, not appreciating the poor sportsmanship that Andrade displayed there. And so, as all of this craziness is going on, you get a commercial break. You come on back, and you're thinking at this point, okay, well, since Andrade did what he did, okay, so does that mean that the match never happened between these two? Because after all, we never did really hear a bell. But then, did we hear a bell of any type for the other matches, right? So now you're kind of thinking like that. But then you're kind of going, well, wait a minute. Bell or no bell, just the fact that Andrade did what he did with the exposed concrete there, shouldn't he automatically be disqualified? And Humberto advances as a result. What's going on here? And so that all was just like, whoa, what the hell? But as Ray was checking on Humberto and everything, AOP, Seth Rollins, they came out, pretty much put a hurting on him. Seth Rollins explaining why he and AOP were out there. It was basically about cashing a receipt. That's what it was all about. Beat the holy crap out of him. Backstage segment, Charlie Caruso catches up with Seth Rollins, AOP, and Seth Rollins issues a challenge to Seth Rollins issues a challenge to Rey Mysterio to face him for the United States Championship. So wait. Let's just take a pause right there. So if we were going to do almost a 1 hour gauntlet match where we were trying to figure out who was going to be the number one contender to face Rey Mysterio for his championship, why the blue fuck did we have Seth Rollins come out there and, oh, I'm going to challenge Ray. I want to challenge Ray for his title. Well, what the fuck was the point in doing the gauntlet match to begin with? That's as bad as a beautiful hot babe comes into a bar and says, hey, you guys, all you single guys, I will give any one of you all a great date with me at a nice 5-star restaurant, and we'll have some great sex afterwards. But if you want to earn the right to date me, you guys gotta fight for me. So who's at it? And then you got guys that's basically beating the shit out of each other for like 30 fucking minutes. And just when it seems as though we have the winner from that same woman, basically she gets approached by, I don't know, maybe it's a guy that just walks up to her, or it's a woman that steps up to her and says, oh my God, man, that dress looks killer. I'm like, hey, thanks. Yeah, you want to go maybe get some tacos? And she's like, are you asking me out on a date? Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, sure. Let me grab my purse. And it's, well, wait a minute now. You just said, I'm looking, it was lazy booking. I'm sorry, there's no way how you can, somebody that wants to defend WWE in this case, and you want to try to be rational, please explain to me, please try to rationalize how that makes sense, what we had saw tonight. I don't even think the most hardcore WWE fan could, which brings me to the point that I've been saying off and on the past couple of weeks. In cases like what we had saw tonight, we really need an authority figure. That would have been a perfect opportunity to have some type of an authority figure in there that would have said, hey, at this present time, Humberto is on his way to the hospital, and I gotta tell you, he's not really being that responsive right now. So, I'm aware of the actions that had went down there with Andrade, and after that poor, disgusting, actions, the way he conducted himself No, there's just no way I'm gonna reward that type of behavior by making him a number one contender. That's just not gonna happen. And I'm not even sure if Humberto can even step up to the plate. Even if I were to award him the number one contender spot, I don't even know if he's gonna be able to do this match. So no comment right now. And that would have been nice to have basically be set up right there. I really would have preferred that. And then, I really wish that cameras would have maybe followed up on Rey Mysterio, right? Somehow follow up on Rey Mysterio. Maybe you could have had him be a little bit shaken, a little bit out of it. And maybe it would have been cool if you would have had him challenge Seth Rollins for the championship or something like that. Or honestly, you could have just let things be and just slowly break out little pieces of news on social media and on the WWE website in setting up next week's WWE RAW. That probably would have been another way that you could have done it and everything. But it's cases like what we had saw tonight where you really need a authority figure, I personally feel. Just lazy. What's the whole point? You do almost 1 hour gauntlet match to crown a number one contender to face the United States champion. Only that number one contender, I mean, that's great for Humberto. I mean, he's going to have the great, he's got that great face, right? You feel sympathy towards him as the baby face. And all right, this is all about him extracting some type of revenge on Andrade and everything. I mean, that's great and everything. But in the meantime, you've got Ray right there without a true number one contender to face him and everything. You have it lay down the way that you laid it down there, it just makes it look like lazy freaking booking when it's all said and done. So 2020, I need for WWE to tighten that up a little bit better. And I don't know, maybe as far as seeing the return of an authority figure might not be that bad of an idea. We'll wait and see. Moving along though, see some of the other matches that we had got. Viking Raiders lost to the OC. Actually was a good tag match. Crowd couldn't give two shits though. That's the sad part. As great of a tag match as it was, the crowd could not give two shits about that matchup. Eric Rowan, he had faced, I didn't even catch the guy's name. It was another one of those local indie guys. He looked as though he was the former lead singer of the 90s rock band Candlebox. I tell you, man, that was some interesting shit right there. But on the seriousness, I'm looking at this and I can't help but wonder, what's the end game with Eric Rowan and that cage? What is the end game for that? What are we building up to? Is everything getting ready to culminate at the Rumble with whatever is inside of that cage being revealed? And who is the opponent going to be? I was kind of looking at things from the Raw side, wondering, okay, so who exactly is going to be the one to not only face Eric Rowan, but who may also reveal what Eric Rowan has been taking with him to ringside over these past several weeks. And I'm just looking up and down the list and everything, and Ricochet kind of jumps out at me. Ricochet kind of jumps out as maybe that person that's going to have somewhat of a short-term program with Rowan, and we're going to see finally, because if there's anybody that I'm kind of looking at that, okay, here's the official program now. No more jobbers. This is it. This is where it's going to be going down. He kind of jumps out at me. You could give maybe an honorable mention to Matt Hardy as well, right? You could give him a nod as well, but I'm looking at Ricochet and I'm kind of saying to myself, well, these two would not only benefit from each other in feuding, but as far as one-upping on each other. And not for nothing, Rowan tonight was getting some decent cheers from the crowd. Fans actually were in there supporting Rowan and everything. So I was kind of feeling that. But your guess is good as mine as far as who might be able to slide in there and on paper give Rowan that real challenge, but also really pose that significant threat of exposing whatever it is that's going on. Critter, whatever the hell he's got under that goddamn stuff, that debris, cloth, whatever he's got up under it. You got me. You got me. I don't know. Liv Morgan, she had an interesting vignette. Basically, the main gist, I have to destroy myself so the real me can emerge. Part of this video package, she was talking about how she's listened to other people. Other people have told her what to do, and she's basically done what they've told her to do, and it's pretty much like no more. So basically, she is shedding off that old skin, and she's getting ready to step into some new skin, more comfortable skin, her own skin. Okay, great. It just gave me this whole Species vibe as I was hearing this. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the Species movie franchise, but it's basically like this alien that, I don't know, like took over this body of some hot babe or whatever, and hot babe is, luring all these people into sex, and these guys, they're thinking they're gonna have some nice, good, hot, steamy fucking sex. Only, they basically get their organs and shit sucked out by this goddamn alien creature that is disguised as a hot babe. So I'm looking at Liv Morgan and I'm going, okay, so are we kind of going in a Species approach here with Liv Morgan now? Where exactly are we going here? Because it just, or am I supposed to join her in this hot tub that's got all bubbles and candles all over the place, and she's looking all seductive and shit? Like, I'm not really sure what to... I need more. I'm intrigued. I need a little bit more. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the message is they're trying to paint out there, but I'm with you so far for this one. I'm happy that, we're slowly but surely seeing her come back into the fold there in the WWE universe. Awkwardest segment of the night, but I gotta give Lana mad props. Lana was really smooth during the pre-show with that promo. I don't know what it was, but her back and forth with Charlie Caruso, I loved it. She came off very smooth. It's almost as though, I don't know, whoever pulled her to the side, but it's almost like some type of a light bulb went off in her head and shit just finally started connecting, because what she did during the pre-show was the most smoothest promo that she put out there since she has been involved in this whole angle. And to follow it up with what she did tonight she seemed very poised. She seemed very confident, very matter of fact. Did not have a clusterfuck over her lines or anything like that. Really came off as a egotistical, as a self-absorbing, full of vanity. I mean, just really played it up tonight. Just really played it up. Asking Lashley if he would ask for her hand in marriage. So that's just, here's a ring. Now I want you to ask me if I'll marry you. Well, it just like what? That was just, I actually, okay, I'm kind of into this. Okay, you kind of got me here, but no Rusev, for those of you wondering, no Rusev tonight. But yeah, I got to give Lana a little bit of credit here. See, I'm not always negative. I'm not always a Debbie Downer. I still don't particularly care for this whole angle, though. I still don't. And tweet of the night, I got to give it to the beautiful and the lovely Kayla Braxton. Kayla Braxton put out a tweet shortly after the segment was over. And she said, I would give my entire salary if tonight could be the very last time that we see this angle on our TV. So, Kayla Braxton actually jump out there like that. I love that. That was, for me, the tweet of the night. I appreciate that. See some other key points tonight. Also, I got to give props to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, fucking awesome again on commentating. In case you guys had missed it there too, by the way, his hand has been in a cast these past couple of months. Well, as of TLC weekend, he's out of the cast. So you watch Raw tonight, a few times that they had cut to the commentating team, you would have seen that his cast is no longer on his arm and everything. And okay, so maybe any day now he's going to be reactivated as a wrestler. I hope not. It just really feels as though Samoa Joe has his second calling here as a color commentator. And I think he is just really excelling in that. It is a very refreshing take that he has at the commentating table. I mean, let's be honest, in modern times in WWE, not since Corey Graves, you look to a guy like Samoa Joe, and it's like, okay, well, just going over the course of the last 10 years here, just the last 10 years. I mean, you almost have to go as far back as maybe Taz before he started going all whoa, 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 whoa. I like the way Samoa Joe comes off so witty with his commentating, very loose and a bit unorthodox, his style as far as his commentating goes. Point blank, he's not trying to be anything different, right? He's not trying to be a different person or anything like that. It's just the Samoa Joe that we've come to know, love, and respect over the years. And look, if you were to tell me, I am one of the most hardcore Samoa Joe fans that's out there. If you were to say to me, Lee, not going to be any more Samoa Joe matches, you good with that, dog? I'd say to you, yeah, I'm actually good with that. I'm okay if we don't get any more Samoa Joe matches. Samoa Joe left a great body of work in ROH, great body of work in Impact Wrestling for many freaking years. What he did in NXT, what he's given us on the main roster, I'm actually good. Now, are there maybe a couple of dream matches I would like to maybe see from Samoa Joe? Now, look, I'm not saying Samoa Joe, he needs to be done entirely. I mean, every once in a blue moon, if you want to do something with Joe, I'm down with that. But as far as just on the regular, I'm okay. Utilize him where it is the smartest to have him at, and that's at commentating right now. It's a blessing in disguise what went down there with Dio Madden. And I know everybody, and it's funny too, because you had all the dirt sheets and the podcast that were jumping out there. Notice we never did jump out there. Everybody was going, oh, Dio Madden, he got fired or he sucked so bad that he got removed. No, Dio Madden wanted to really stick to the pro wrestling. He missed being in the ring, so he's been doing his training and all of that other stuff. He wants to get back in there in the ring and everything. So this was a really great opportunity that has been bestowed on Samoa Joe. And he gives you some really great fucking lines. And just when he's doing color commentating, some spots that are happening in this match, his shit's not rehearsed in any type of way, and it's a refreshing, organic, oh, that's a nice take. Like I remember during TLC, I think it was during the Aleister Black Buddy Murphy joint, when they were doing the kicks to each other, you see him, he's actually laughing his ass off at how these two guys are just throwing everything at each other in the kitchen sink. You're like, wow. And you follow that up with tonight. And there was a great line that he said in the opening minutes of Monday Night Raw. He was talking about AOP. And he compared himself to AOP. He said, look, I've done some horrible and despicable things in my career. But, the things that I've done in my career, it was a means to justify an end. What AOP does, they do what they do just to hurt people. And so just the way he delivered it, there's one particular, as far as the commentating tonight, I would say go out of your way and check that opening up with Samoa Joe, and just the way he had delivered it and everything. And even you got Vic Joseph and freaking Jerry Lawler, even they're kind of looking at him like, ooh, that's good. Yeah, that was a good one right there. So yeah, I just don't remove him. I mean, he's one of the best refreshing things that's going on right now for that new color commentating team. Vic Joseph, he's doing his thing. He's continuing to do really good. Jerry Lawler, he's finding his stride again. He's finding his wittiness again and his humor. I'm loving all that about him. Just seeing if there's anything else I want to talk about here for Raw. I gotta give a nod to Asuka taking on Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo from down NXT. She had graced us with a rare appearance on the main roster tonight. Great fucking back and forth that she had with Asuka. Asuka coming out on top and everything, but Deonna looking pretty damn promising there. I love what she did. I hope that's not the last time we actually see her on the main roster. I hope we see a couple more opportunities come her way in the coming year. I thought she did pretty damn good. Also, Want to see something else I'm forgetting. Yeah, the main event match. Yeah, we had the main event match there between AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and I can't believe we almost forgot about this. I got to give USA Network props. You know, over the past several weeks, we've been very critical of the USA Network because when it's 000, we got to go off. Hard go off. Raw tonight went until 11:02. 11:02 tonight. And even at that, it kind of felt as though things were still just a tad bit rushed, but just enough time given to tell the story that they need to tell and everything. Randy Orton, AJ Styles actually was a pretty good matchup. And look, if those two guys are going to be continuing their feud going into the Royal Rumble, I'm actually okay with that. I think many of you guys would actually be okay with that as well. But yeah, Raw tonight, overall, I would say it was pretty decent for the most part. I kind of enjoyed this a little bit more than the pay-per-view itself, just to kind of be honest with you guys. I don't know how if you guys kind of feel the same way or what. You guys can sound off on social media for sure, but the way things seem to be looking right now with regards to the Royal Rumble, it's kind of looking as though we're going to see Randy Orton, AJ Styles. That kind of seems like that's a no-brainer. It feels like Rusev and Lashley are going to collide yet again. It kind of feels like that. Looking at the rest of this here, OC. Yeah, how about that, by the way, the way Raw had ended there? So you had the OC and the Vikings, wasn't it? If I'm remembering it right? Yeah, you had that whole big old clusterfuck there at the end there, where you had the OC, Viking Raiders, Orton, AJ, all of them just because earlier in the night you had OC and the Vikings fighting and all that. So to see the Vikings kind of get a little bit of a rub off there, AJ and all of those guys, that's fucking awesome. Gino, appreciate the Christmas gift, man. Thank you so much, my friend. That's actually kind of a Christmas present as well. So I actually, not a Christmas present, but a birthday present as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. And I'm not broadcasting when my birthday is. Those of you I've known for quite a long time, y'all can private message me. And, if you want to, send some birthday wishes my way shortly, you can definitely do that as well. But, for the most part, yeah, I like. Okay, so you've got Orton, OC, right? Viking Raiders, all of those guys thrown into the mix. So is that maybe going to culminate at Royal Rumble as well, or is that just basically going to be good WWE Raw TV for the next couple of weeks, right? How exactly are we going to kind of map that out, so to speak? But if you were to tell me that next week's Raw, there's going to be a 6-man tag match, I wouldn't be surprised. Makes a lot of sense. I actually wouldn't mind seeing that go down and everything. But yeah, Raw tonight, like I said, I'll definitely give it a pass. I do have a poll that's up, 2 polls. One poll on Twitter, another poll on YouTube in the communities tab, asking you guys what did you think about tonight's Monday Night Raw. So you guys can definitely sound off, let me know what you had thought about it so far on Twitter. Let's look at the poll here. And by the way, can we not just say super chat? No, what Gino just did right there, he didn't just do a super chat. Gino did a super chat. Anybody that does like $5 or more for a super chat, you get the Tony Chimo super chat. That's how you guys are gonna get it. But yeah, I got 2 polls that's up right now asking you guys what the heck did you guys think about tonight's Raw. And the Twitter poll right now, good God almighty, Twitter poll right now, interesting here. Let me just take a quick swig of this. I've got, this is damn good beer too. I had one last bottle left from my trip to PA. LCN Space Dust IPA. I was only able to find this in PA. If it's sold in the DC metropolitan area, I don't know anything about it, but I love this. This is my last one. I did not want to open it up, but I want to be a little bit loose tonight. See, we got 85% of you that are giving, this is via Twitter, by the way. We got 85% of you that are giving Raw a thumbs down. 15% of you have given it a thumbs up. So very interesting. Now let's see what you guys are saying on YouTube. And I wouldn't be surprised if early votes are still coming in on YouTube. So let's just see here. And you guys can see the results on YouTube as well. Just go over to youtube.com/the RCWR show. And you just click on the communities tab and you guys will be able to see it that way. So it's almost identical, almost on YouTube. 71% of you are giving it a thumbs down. If you hear me burping, I apologize in advance. That's the beer. 71% thumbs down. 29% of you are giving it a thumbs up. I mean, it wasn't a can't miss episode. It was okay. It was slightly better to a degree than the pay-per-view, I personally feel. But I can understand how some of you guys can give it a thumbs down. Like, just across the board. I can understand. I can see where you guys are coming from. I would like to definitely open up the forum, though, for you guys. Whether it's while live or on demand. And on the downloads, I do want you guys to let me know a little bit more about what you thought were some of the problems were with Raw for this week. I can tell you this, I really wish Kevin Owens would have been there. I did like the fact that they did inject Becky Lynch in there, and Becky Lynch is going, hey, I've never been able to beat Asuka, and he really feels as though WWE management is trying to do everything in their power to protect me from Asuka because they are having all of this great killer success with their merchandise and blah this and blah that. And, you know, it's safe to say they feel as though Asuka could basically have all that turned into smoke by her taking away this championship and being the top dog, right? Okay, so you hear that and you're like, okay, so wait a minute here. So you're saying that upper WWE management fears Asuka? They fear that Asuka would not be as successful champion as what's been happening with you, Becky, since you've been champion? Like, there is that fear. You know, to a certain degree, I also, when I was listening to Becky cut that promo, I couldn't help but say that really should be Charlotte saying that. It really should be her, with the exception of the whole, you know, hey, beat part, right? Because she, you know, here and there, she's had Asuka's number, but it just kind of felt more like it should have been Charlotte that should have been delivering those lines about, hey, you know, it really feels like I'm being held back by management. You know, I should be fighting for the women's championship, but instead I'm delegated to the tag division. Following up, too, on that great freaking on the great, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't she on Corey Graves' podcast, if I remember right? Or no, maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I remember Corey Graves saying he did not like seeing what was going on with Charlotte, and he talked about that on his After the Bell podcast, and he was like, no, I want her to be back in the singles division again. And Charlotte on social media had endorsed that and everything. Now, look, I got to be consistent here. Some weeks back, I had said, hey, it's great that we got Charlotte that's kind of now delegated to the tag division. She's been a champion multiple times already here. And if there's anywhere you need to place her right now where some help is much needed, it's definitely the tag division. And so what I don't like about Charlotte in the tag division right now, she doesn't really seem to be all invested into it. She really doesn't seem like she's totally all there, right? You know, part of her is there, but it really feels like she's not all in on that. I mean, this is a great opportunity right here to really build up that respected division and everything, and have a lot of people talking about it. And, you know, if there's anywhere where, hey, you know, kind of need some help right here, it's definitely the women's division. And I'm a little bit bummed out that with the way that Charlotte has been booked in this whole situation that, it just continues to look a little bit nerve-wracking, when it's all said and done. It just really doesn't feel like at this point there's really a game plan like that involving Charlotte. It just kind of, but I will continue to be consistent. A lot of people kind of feel as though, oh, this is it for Charlotte. No, I will continue to be consistent here, which is what's happening with Charlotte is just the scenic route. Do not be surprised if when we get ready to come on back to, WrestleMania season next year, do not be surprised if Charlotte Flair is in the women's title picture once again. I just feel honestly what's going on. It's just a scenic route they're doing. They're going to get there eventually, though. They're definitely going to get there eventually. It really would have been nice to see an appearance by Brock Lesnar. Maybe we'll get him on SmackDown. I don't know. But I mean, after all, he did quit SmackDown. So, we're still without that other championship, right? So, yeah, very interesting. So, hey, look, your man here did check out the Broken Skull sessions with Goldberg, and I would have to say, anybody that did not get a chance to watch that, go out of your way and check it out when you get an opportunity. You will not be disappointed. I'm off for the next couple of days from work and everything. I've got a little bit of an extended break, using up some personal time, some PTO. So I had some projects I got to get wrapped up and everything. So I'm enjoying a little bit of R&R, and at the same time, I'm able to catch up on some stuff, podcast related and everything. So I actually was watching Broken Skull sessions with my girl, and because she loves Stone Cold and she's a big Goldberg fan too. And we both couldn't help but walk away from Broken Skull sessions with Goldberg saying, wow, have even more respect for Goldberg, just to really get to understand and know the man behind the Goldberg character more, to really get into the mind there of Bill Goldberg, the husband, the father, the former football player, to really be able to tap into him and, okay, this is what he's all about here. It was a great, insightful conversation, is what it was. I know most people want to go with interview. It was conversation. And, for me, the biggest takeaways from it, I'm not doing a full-blown review. Like, when we did the thing with Undertaker, I was happy that, like, for this quarter, that was, like, one of our most popular reviews that people had checked out and everything. But there was numerous complaints of people via YouTube that wanted to actually see the footage. They actually wanted to see the interview and not hear a review, a recap about it. And that was a little disheartening, because we've done our part. We've changed the thumbnail. We made sure it said big ass font letters review. Like, we made sure it was titled properly. Like, but we still had people that were too cheap to get a free WWE month subscription so they could watch the damn thing. It was crazy. But no, for me, it's interesting because on the one hand, I didn't really learn anything new that I pretty much already knew. I think this was just one of those cases where, okay, we're hearing this in Bill's own words. And it just felt like it had that much more weight to it and everything. And what really came off to me eye-opening was that Bill, along the way in his wrestling career, he was just given really bad advice by bad people, and he was always trying to be a model citizen. He was trying to be a model employee, and whatever was needed of him to do, he's going to go out there and he's going to do it. He's a professional, right? And what some people may have perceived as, this guy's an asshole, he's being a dick, he's got this serious chip on his shoulders and all this other shit. This was just a guy that was a bit well guarded. He was just trying to protect himself to a certain degree, because he was still green behind the ears, and he was just getting bad intel from people. You know, even leading up into the WWE, he was getting bad intel as far as who to trust and all this. So it was really a case where the guy was just really misunderstood and everything. But he let it be no secret that as far as his run in professional wrestling, his first love was pro football. And so to have the door basically be shut on him 2 to 3 times on football, and then he's got to figure out, okay, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And what was really surprising was hearing all of these other connections with his friends and family members that they had to the world of professional wrestling, sports entertainment. And what really seemed as though, dude, you're destined for this. He's not going in that direction. He's going in, this football direction. This is all I know. That's it. It's all about football. And then when football's taken away, it's like, okay, now what? So it was interesting to hear all of that. I got my wish. I got to hear what was going on with him at WrestleMania 20. And he talked about how I wasn't rattled. Brock, he was eating it up. It was fucking with him big time. But for me, it was nothing personal. It was just business. I got it. I understood where the fans were coming from. I get that. Talked about how he met his wife and everything. There really wasn't anything new that we could really sink our teeth on in this conversation. I mean, if you've been making your rounds and you've been checking out the Goldberg interviews over the years, that you kind of already have the entire picture. This was really just Bill Goldberg talking with his good friend Stone Cold, and and them shooting the shit. And this is on the WWE network. Okay, so now you got the WWE version of it. Some things that I wish would have been talked about. I wish Steve Austin would have went a little bit more into, okay, so while you were sitting at home when WCW got bought out by WWE and everything, were you checking out the product? Did you see what was going on? And did it entice you at all to want to come on into the WWE? Okay, so you finally come into the WWE. You had these great moments feuding with The Rock, and I really would have loved to have heard from Bill Goldberg more about the good times during his first year there in the WWE, and kind of reflect a little bit more on the bad times and everything. And although I understood what led him to coming back to the WWE this second go round, it really would have been nice, and I was kind of expecting it a little bit. I was expecting for Steve Austin to bring up Matt Riddle. I was expecting for Steve Austin to say, anything in particular. Hey, hey man, chat me up. What the hell is going on between you and this kid, Matt Riddle? Guy's got a bright career ahead of him in the WWE here. He's tearing it up in NXT. Explain to me what the hell. I would have liked it had, we honestly went in that direction. Goldberg could have commented on that, hey, is what's going on between you guys? Is it a straight shoot? Are you guys trying to work up to something? What's going on here? Really would have been nice to hear that. I also would have loved to heard from his side, hey, Saudi Arabia, the match with The Undertaker, really would have been nice. I know he did his rounds already, but it still would have been nice. Here you are, you got him on the WWE network here. Really would have been nice to go that route and talk about that more as well. How many more matches do you think you have left in you? Is there anybody else on the roster you're eyeing that maybe you'd like to face in the future? If the opportunity comes about, would love to hear some of those things as well. As far as current projects he's working on, he's doing the Dodge Santa thing once again. You all seen the commercials. He's appearing on the Goldbergs on ABC once again. There's something else that he's doing, but as far as like wrestling content goes, there's nothing that, right? So, and maybe that's kind of cool if you want to have it be a secrecy thing or whatever, but that's fine. But yeah, the Matt Riddle thing, definitely would have been nice to hear his take on what went down in Saudi Arabia against The Undertaker. the stuff with Dolph Ziggler. They really could have gone there, but those were avenues that they really did not do. But I will still say that overall, for the most part, it was a really, really good interview. There was one person during his training early on in the WCW days that he gave a lot of props to, Sarge, and I'm not talking about Sergeant Slaughter, but he had gave him a lot of props. And there was one other person, his name escapes me right now, but yeah, I would say if you're somewhat of a newer fan and you don't really know that much about Bill Goldberg and you kind of want the complete package, then I would say the Broken Skull Sessions is for you. And look, if you're a hardcore Steve Austin fan, a hardcore Bill Goldberg fan, and you pretty much know just about any and everything, some of the stuff, it's recycled, really nothing new, really nothing too insightful. If anything, you just really come away saying that Bill Goldberg is not only pretty articulate, but he's got a damn good head on his shoulders. He's a pretty smart dude. He's almost kind of philosophical to a degree. I didn't know any of those things about Bill Goldberg. I swear to God, I did not know any of those things, and what you think is just, you're just some former football player, and yeah, you made the transition into wrestling, and Hulk smash. He's so much more than that. And that Broken Skull Sessions conversation with Stone Cold, it really, really brings out his best sides. I personally felt so. Check that out when you guys get an opportunity. Also, shout out to AEW news. It looks like Alex Reynolds and John Silver. No, not Long John Silver. Get your minds out the gutters there. We ain't talking about the seafood people either. They both have signed deals with the company. For Alex Reynolds, you may remember him. He had faced Jon Moxley in the opening match on Dynamite. And later on in the Dark Order Hotel promo, Reynolds was accompanied to the ring by Silver. Reynolds had previously wrestled for CZW PWG, while Silver spent most of his time working in indie promotions out in the New York area, but he did do an appearance for the WWE back in 2012. So, you WWE fans, if his face kind of looks familiar, there was a match that he had against Ryback. He was a jobber that was facing Ryback. I think it was at a pay-per-view too. I want to say it was maybe No Way Out. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a refresher right there. And, we were talking about Lana earlier and everything, and I don't know how much of this is true. And sadly, the way in which the interview was conducted, it wasn't the traditional question, answer, but Lana had did an interview with comicbook.com. And she talked about how she and WWE have been working with the FBI because she has been receiving death threats for what has been going on with this Lana, Rusev, Lashley story angle and everything. And I bullshit you not, I wish I was trolling you guys, but she was talking about how she's actually been receiving death threats over this. And I mean, it's one thing to receive emails, criticism about the story angle and, okay, it sucks and all this other shit. That's one thing. But to wish physical harm on somebody because you don't like a particular angle, that just, look, not for nothing, over the years have I dealt with listeners that were either mentally not right in the head. Yes, Lord knows, yes. But at the end of the day, I still sleep good at night because I'm not giving them that power over me and living my life and all of that. I do what I need to do to get them reported, and I keep it moving along, right? What I do at the end of the day, it's an opinion show. It doesn't mean that what I say is the be all end all. It's not law. It's an opinionated show like most podcasts that listeners check out, right? But when it gets to the point where you as that wrestling fan get so worked up, you take shit so personal that, you're sending somebody death threats and all that, you just got to go, okay, wait a minute now. even if you're doing it just to be trolling, when you get to that point where you're threatening somebody, you're threatening physical harm on somebody, that's when you kind of got to pump the brakes and you got to say, wait a minute. If these characters and this TV show is really getting to me like that, yeah, I think it might be about time that I stop watching this and maybe go check out something else. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, I'm like this. If somebody's really fucking with you like that every time you turn on your TV, you got the most powerful thing that is at your disposal, which is your remote control. And when you see a particular character or segment that you're not feeling, it's very easy to just change the channel, watch something else, come back 5 minutes later. Or if you just want to make sure that your cable box and all that is being represented for the news and ratings and everything, then just leave your TV where it is, go do some laundry, go wash dishes, go take out the trash or some other shit, and come back 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later or whatever, and that character or that segment should be off the air by the time it's over. So but then even at that, you just got some people that are just mentally not right in the head. It kind of reminds me of that story, and you veteran TV fans will probably remember this, but it kind of reminds me of that story of that actress from back in I think it was the late 80s going into the early 90s. There was this female actress. She had a really bright, promising acting career that was ahead of her. She was involved in this TV series, and it only lasted like one season, and the ratings, it really wasn't. Maybe 2 seasons it was. I'll say 2 seasons at most. Yeah, but the ratings for it really wasn't that impressive and everything. But she was getting a lot of looks from Hollywood and everything. And she started branching out, and she started taking other roles and everything. And she felt that she was getting to that point in her career where, okay, you know what? If I really want to be taken seriously as an actress, then I've got to do some riskier roles. I've got to really branch out. I've got to show more range. And so there was a couple of side stuff that she did. There was one movie that she did where she had this passionate makeout scene and everything. And I'm bringing her up because her story has been chronicled over the years. I think the most recent one was probably about maybe 5 to 7 years ago. And she had this fan that loved her. I mean, he would send her letters, just professing his love to her and all of this other stuff. And the mail back then, you had P.O. boxes and all that other shit, you had all that. And so she would respond to every single fan mail that would come to her. And, she did him like nobody else different. She had a 8x10, put her lipstick kisses on it, had a nice little thank you card and everything, sent it back. And from that moment on, because he had got that interaction back from her, in his warped mind, the two of them were a couple. And so he continued to write freaking letters to her and all this other shit. And it culminated in him having the most bizarre behavior when he saw that one particular movie she was in where she had this makeout scene. It wasn't simulation sex or anything like that. It was just a makeout scene where, she took off her top and she still had a bra and all that on. Guy took off his shirt. Okay, he's got his upper chest showing, and, they're kissing, hugging, and, rolling on the bed or whatever. But he looked at her as a slut. He looked at her as her cheating on him, right? This fan. And he took it upon himself to basically, you're going to pay, bitch. I'm going to make you pay for what you did to me. You're supposed to be mine. Why are you cheating on me with somebody else? So somehow, and back then, the way that they had everything set up, 80s and early 90s, it was easy to figure out where actors lived. It was very easy. And so he found out where she lived and everything. And true story. And this will probably connect the dots for more you wrestling veteran fans, you movie fans out there. But she was supposed to have the role that ultimately went to Sofia Coppola in Godfather 3. She was the original um, Mary Cologne. Coleon. She was the original Mary. Sergio Leone had sent her the script and everything because he had, came across her work and he was quite impressed with her. And so he got in touch with her, told her about how he was working on The Godfather 3, and she was so fucking game. She wanted to see the script, and he was like, okay, yeah, no problem. I'm going to mail you the script. And so he told her, script's going to come to you. I'll have it, postal mail. It'll come to you in a couple of days. And so she's on the lookout for the mail and everything. And, leading up to it, this creepy fucking bastard, he's already got the address for where she lives, staking out her place and everything. And somehow he's able to get himself the way she had her place set up where she lived. It was like there's like a gate, and then there was a intercom box, and then once you got past that door, you pretty much were, it was like a little townhome. You pretty much were in there, and then from there, all you need to do is just go knock on that person's door, and then boom, that's how it went down. And so I think he, the killer, rung the buzzer or whatever, and she, thinking that her script had finally arrived, she opens the door, she comes on down there, and the creepy son of a bitch had killed her. And I'm trying to figure out her name, and let me see if I got the name for you guys. Hang on a second. Yeah, I'm not finding it right now, and sadly the name's gonna come to me when I least expect it. But do some fun research, especially those of you that like the Godfather trilogy and all that, and you never heard that side of the story before. Yeah, go look it up. When you look up her story, you'll see exactly the actress that I'm talking about and everything. So my point, when it gets to a situation like that where the reality, fact and fiction there, when it's kind of fucking with you like that, it's kind of time to take a little bit of a step back and go, okay, I need to disengage for a little bit and maybe just come on back at a later date. That's honestly the best advice I can give to anybody, but easier said than done. Couple other headlines we can get into before we get ready to wrap it up here. I want to give my condolences to Randy Colley. He should sound familiar to you guys. He's a veteran pro wrestler. He was involved in many angles over the years, including as the original Smash before being replaced by Barry Darzo. He had passed away over the weekend. He was part of Desperados with Dutch Mantell and Blackheart. Won many titles across many promotions. One of the titles he won, he was a WWE Tag Champion, Mid-South North American Heavyweight, a two-time NWA Georgia Tag Team Champion, three-time USWA World Tag Team Champion. And for you older wrestling fans out there, the guy I'm definitely talking about. For you younger fans, if you kind of remember somebody like a Big John Studd or whatever, Randy Colley kind of looked a little bit like Big John Studd to a certain degree. Had one hell of a look to him and everything, almost a little bit before my time, but I do remember seeing a little bit of his work here and there. Also, for you NWA fans, you National Wrestling Alliance fans, they had announced on Twitter, so this follows up to what I was talking about on the Into the Fire review, and we also have a correction we need to make. But first, that news. Remember on Into the Fire, I had told you guys I believe that they were doing a new NWA Power this coming Tuesday. Well, NWA did in fact announce earlier tonight that there is going to be a new episode of Power, and they said that new agent Marty Scurll will be appearing on Power. and they're going to show in its entirety the interview that he had at the desk with Dave Marquez. Remember, I told you guys once the pay-per-view had went off, we did see for about 90 seconds on Fight TV the continuation as he was talking with Alex, and then the feed just freaking stopped. So, but yeah, we're going to see that just as it had went off the air. We're going to see his promo. We're also going to see an exclusive, I think it's a sit-down interview with Stu Bennett regarding Skrull's future. All of that is going to be on NWA Power this coming Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to checking that out. I legitimately am. I don't know. Maybe I'll be kicking back with some of you guys, and I'll be live tweeting about that as we're on the air. Or as, no, I'm not going to be on the air on Tuesday. As it's on the air is what I was trying to say. Sorry about that, guys. Also, I got to make sure I show this man a lot of love. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, because, I know nowadays we don't really bring up a lot of non-wrestling related news and all that, but, and the way I usually kind of set it up, mainly I have all of that go to our Patreon audience and everything, but when it's big and it's pretty major and everything, I do like to try to give that nod on the free-for-all shows. Rest in peace, Danny Aiello. My God, it was so awesome to see all of the outpouring love, support, thoughts, and prayers that was coming towards the family of Danny Aiello. And I didn't even respond to the people. It was obviously younger people that didn't even know who Danny Aiello was. I saw that as a theme in some case. Who is that? Like, who is that? It's like, and look, and for you guys that, maybe don't know Danny Aiello and everything, Danny Aiello, a veteran actor. If you ever had watched Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, or if you ever watched Harlem Nights, you ever watched Moonstruck, then you know who Danny Aiello is, right? But a great fucking veteran actor. For me, I will always remember him as Sal from Sal Pizzeria in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. That was such a iconic role and true story. And I shared this on social media, and I don't really know how many of you guys know about this, but originally Spike Lee wanted for Robert De Niro to portray Saul. But De Niro's schedule and everything, it just really would not permit him to do it. So ultimately, the role went to Danny Aiello, which he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor and everything. And yeah, his role in that movie was so freaking iconic. So freaking iconic, man. So many memorable roles too. We already talked about Harlem Nights, Moonstruck, Lucky Number Slevin, not 7, Slevin. God, Once Upon a Time in America. I can't also forget about that. Once Upon a Time in America. Godfather Part 2. I mean, he has a great resume as far as films go. When you look up his filmography, I'd be shocked if you had came across a movie and, no, I didn't watch any of these, right? And the name may not sound familiar, but his face is very distinct. It's like Abe Vigoda. Everybody knows Abe Vigoda. You may only be able to name 1 or 2 movies, but you know that fucking face. Danny Aiello is kind of like synonymous. It's like that. And it was great seeing everybody just come out and offer their thoughts and prayers and everything. And as far as his death goes and everything, he died at the age of 86 at a hospital out in New Jersey following a brief illness. So, hey, at least you could say he lived a nice, long, fruitful life. But this was a guy that had right on up until he started to get sick. This was a guy that was still pretty active in Broadway theater, involved in TV shows, involved in movies. He was still quite busy. When you look up and you see everything that he was doing and everything, even right on up to making a deal with the devil. that came out in 2019. It was his final film role. He did a couple of things in 2019, did a couple of things in 2018. I mean, he continued to be freaking active. So this was a guy, despite the age, was still going out there and was still fucking doing it and doing it hard, and great actor, a great actor. He was one of those type of actors, and I think when you look back on his career and everything, I think because he was born and raised in New York, and a lot of the movies that he was in, it had to do with New York. And somehow he was always able to, and I remember over the years he talked about this in interviews and everything. He would say that, hey, as far as summoning the emotion of what it's like to be a grieving parent that lost a family member or a friend to gun violence, or hey, dealing with the mob, or hey, got robbed or whatever, he was always able to summon whatever the emotion was that he needed to summon for his scenes and everything. Because not for nothing, but when you're in New York, and you know about that life, you've experienced it firsthand, so you can just recall from memory and really tap into that place where you understand where I'm coming from. So for him, it just kind of came naturally. But if I were to describe Danny Aiello's acting, he was almost the best way I could describe him, man, he was almost kind of like, I'm thinking of a combination, and for me, it was almost kind of like watching Rod Steiger in his prime. I'm not talking like in the heat of the night. I mean, like back when he did Al Capone, right? If you saw that one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That prime of Rod Steiger. So it's almost kind of like watching Rod Steiger and combining that with Carol O'Connor. And when I bring up Carol O'Connor, I don't want you guys thinking All in the Family, because before All in the Family had even happened, Carol O'Connor in his own right was a pretty respected actor. He had did some TV stuff, some movies here and there. He showed a wide range as an actor, a wide fucking range. And, I know everybody's so caught up on All in the Family, but to see what he was able to do before All in the Family, and then what he was able to do during All in the Family, but then see what he was able to do on the TV series In the Heat of the Night, you're going, wow, But I would say that Danny Aiello kind of had a combination of all of those individuals and a little bit of the late Jerry Orbach as well, all rolled up into one. Dennis Farina as well, to a certain degree. It's like you think New York and everything. It's like Danny Aiello embodied it so perfectly. Telly Savalas too. He's another one that embodied New York. He was another one that it was just natural, because he lived out there. He had family out there. He could tell you any and everything that had happened, with friends and family that lived out there. So, he's the one, great body of work. I mean, look, 86, that's a nice, long, fruitful life. But definitely thoughts and prayers. I remember one of the first things I had did was I freaking looked up his discography, and I was like, okay, what am I going to be checking out? What am I going to be checking out here? Let's see. And so I actually was watching Do the Right Thing over the weekend. I see Gino is talking about how Chelsea Handler's sidekick, Troy Bravo, how he passed away. Sadly, I really was not a fan of the comedian Chelsea Handler. So I really don't want to come on here and, act like, oh yeah, and this person, I'm not going to do that. But hey, yeah, that person had passed as well. He passed. I know he passed away over the weekend, as well.
So, it's just, but we'd be here all night if we talk about, well, this person died too. And Danny Aiello, I really spent the most time talking about because coming fresh off of watching The Irishman, with Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, and I said this on social media when Danny Aiello passed, and this is it in a nutshell. I said Danny Aiello, with the great body of work that he left, behind and everything, he really kind of never really got his just due because, and a lot of people will tell you this that know about his work and everything, he really should have been right up there with the Pacinos, with the De Niros, with the Pescis. He really should have been up there with them. But for whatever respected reason, he never really went to that next level. And I'm not really sure why. But, it's interesting because when you look at a movie like The Irishman, you can easily go, oh, Aiello would have fitted in that perfectly. Those of you that seen it, y'all would, oh, he would have fitted in that perfectly. Or if Abe Vigoda was still alive, oh man, he would have fit in that perfectly. So, but he was definitely one of those type of actors that whether you needed him as a mobster or you needed him as a corrupt cop or you needed him as the loving father, that, yeah, he which is awesome for a guy that looked the way that Danny Aiello looked. I mean, he wasn't Brad Pittish or anything like that. But boy, I tell you, he could brilliantly play a character that you either greatly admired and respected, like Saul, from the pizzeria joint, hardworking man, knows no color barriers, even though he has a son that's racist and ignorant as fuck, or he could play a freaking corrupt cop, like in Harlem Nights that, is trying to put Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor's characters out of business unless he gets a piece of the action and all that, right? And they're trying to figure out a way to take him down or whatever. I mean, God, he was a great chameleon, jack of all trades as far as the roles he needed to go into. So I think other than that, I think we are pretty much done with regards to this. Now, I didn't forget, I did say earlier about NWA. I do have a correction I want to make. On the NWA Into the Fire post show, I had talked about how my girl Cobra Moon, aka Serpentine, aka Thunder Rosa, was victorious from her MMA match. I have a correction to make, and I do apologize. I actually had caught this as I was listening to the show on demand. Some shows I do play back, make sure everything's on point. And sadly, I messed that piece of information up. I got her confused with Sexy Star. Thunder Rosa actually had lost this go round with regards to the MMA match that she had. So I do want to make that little bit of a correction there. All right, do want to recognize some of our sponsors as we get ready to wrap it up here, at least for now. I want to give a nod to all of our sponsors for tonight's edition of the RCWR show, including my good friends over at davidallencapital.com. If your business needs working capital to fund its growth, or maybe to get through a tight financial pinch, if traditional banks aren't the right fit for you, these guys over at davidallencapital.com may just have the funds you need. Their providers are going to look for ways to find more cash flow options that fits you, as opposed to just looking at your credit score. And they try to help you and find the best top alternative providers that can help you out. So check them out. They are your one place stop for shopping. They're your best option. Get the cash you need for your business. No short term, obligation, hassle, application process. Check them out. They have hooked up providers funding wise over $10 billion. for small businesses. Call Alex, that's my buddy, call her today at David Allen Capital. You can give her a call at 202-445-0851. Get the funding that you need for your respective business in as little as 3 business days. You can give Alex a call at area code 202-445-0851. Once again, 202-445-0851. I also have her unique URL in the episode description of this episode, so you guys can actually check her out directly and everything. Do appreciate her. Also, want to give a shout out to some of our Patreon members. Remember, patreon.com/RCWR show. If you haven't signed up for Patreon yet, that's definitely where you want to be, because we do a lot of bonus audio and video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Shout out to John Krauser. Shout out to John, my amigo. Me and a couple of other podcast friends. We've been all collectively doing our part and promoting all of his shows for this month, and we are ecstatic with joy that a lot of his shows ended up being sold out. So this is great. This is fantastic to hear. Once again, if you're going to be in the Chicago area all throughout December, John Krauser is doing his Brain Freak Live comedy show. It's going to be happening in the Second City Theater once again. And all you got to do in a Bing Google search, type in John Krauser, Krauser spelled Krauser, Second City. You can find him that way. Tickets, very affordable. You've got $13, like $10 if you got your student ID card. I think $9. I mean, you can't beat the prices. Great prices, loads of laughs. You can't beat that. Shout out to John. Also, happy belated birthday. I thought we were going to be able to tackle it while we were still on the air, but sadly, it's now just about an hour pretty much from it, or past it now. But happy belated birthday to my good friend and loyal RCWR show listener and longtime Patreon supporter, and Justin Ripstock. Happy belated birthday, my friend. I hope you didn't eat too much there, didn't drink too hard. Shout out to Sean Kenter. Shout out to Tony Being Gaming for all things Marvel video gaming, walkthroughs, tutorials, news, and reviews. Tony Being Gaming, he's your man. Check him out. Shout out to Freddie R. Freddie! Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to my good friend Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. And shout out to Joe Raymond Jr. And also shout out to my man Screaming Bulls 1. He's a fantastic wrestling sculptor. If you guys need custom figures or bust made, check him out. He just wrapped up a alternate version of Atom Bomb. And man, does it look killer. So he's got one Atom Bomb bust that's got the traditional, red, white, black flaming and the gear and the wet hair and all that. But then he has a alternate version that Atom Bomb was pushing where it was black, white, and I think navy blue. And no gargles and all that. And it's got like a handlebar mustache. Badass. It looks badass. Check him out. If you got Twitter, check him out. Now look, he ain't cheap. I'll tell you guys that right now. He is not cheap. That's going to cost you a couple of $100s, right? I don't know. Maybe he's willing to hook you guys up and make some type of a deal for you guys. But, check it out. Definitely check it out, man. And he's good shit. He is good shit. So check him out when you guys get a chance. Also, when you guys get an opportunity, check out. There's somebody else I was trying to plug here. Hang on. No, that's it. That's it for my plugs. Screaming Bulls 1. So definitely check out Screaming Bulls 1. He's on Twitter. Again, great wrestling sculptor. I've seen this guy make some pretty good stuff. I've seen him make... God, so far he's done Scott Steiner, he's got Tommy Dreamer, he's got Sandman, he's got Raven, he's got like practically all the ECW guys that he's like made so far. It's good shit. I mean, when you see his work, you're just like, wow, your hands made that from scratch? That is badass. So, check him out. And it's really nice to see that he gets so much love from the actual wrestlers that he's doing the bus for and everything. But it's also nice to slowly see other podcasts that are, coming around to him and everything. I'm not going to try to take all the credit, but I do know this. Like I said a couple of weeks ago when I saw his artwork, I said, my God, this dude is fucking badass. And I went to him and I said, I like your artwork so much. Can I actually take you on as a sponsor? And usually it's the other way around. Usually it is people that are needing sponsorship, they come to us. But here was a case where I was just so impressed by his work that, wow, I want to try to see if I can somehow represent this guy and get more people to check out his shit. And man, I'm really, really glad that he continues to do really big and cool, awesome things. I see a couple of things out there about the C2E2. Let me say this before we get ready to wrap it up. I still do not know what is going on as far as the panel goes, because I know by now a lot of you guys, because I know you guys make your rounds listening to other shows, friends of mine and everything, and I know that you're hearing stuff about a C2E2 panel. I know I've brought it up. I still don't know what's going on with that, and this is like the last time I'm gonna bring it up because I'm seeing a lot of misinformation that is out there, and as it stands right now, we do not know if the panel is a go, because Julian from Wrestling Court, he's done everything at his end respectfully. And sometimes when it comes to these panels, when you're applying, just because you're applying, it doesn't mean that, okay, we're good to go. It doesn't mean that. Sometimes it can be a case where, okay, well, say, hey, so these people are doing a panel. Okay, and who are their guests going to be? Okay, and then what's going on with these guys? Okay, and what's their panel going to consist of? Okay, well, let's go with these guys instead. So it's not a done deal just yet, is the point that I'm making, because I've had a couple of people private message me and even ask me openly, whether in the Discord or other outlets, what's going on with the C2E2 panel. Heard you're going to be part of that, and I don't know what's going on until I know officially that the panel is a go. Well, the only thing I can comment on as far as C2E2, because it is about 75 days away now, I know I'll definitely be at the event covering it as part of the press. And if the panel does happen, as long as you're staying connected to me throughout social media, you'll know as far as if there's going to be a panel or not. Because if the panel is going to happen, I will do my very best to make sure that we have recorded footage, best audio that's available, and we'll make sure that you guys are able to enjoy it for those of you that's not going to be there and everything. All right, so your next edition, Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. And if for those of you that have an idea when my birthday is, don't broadcast. Don't broadcast because it comes off dickish. Don't broadcast just to, if you want to wish me a happy birthday and all that other stuff, that's fine. But don't be a dick and be like, that's all I'm saying. You can get at me on social media. You can private message me, and I'm fine with that. But don't be a dick and I know when Lee's birthday. Don't do that, because I'm not going to respond to you. I just thought I'd say that because I actually saw something and I'm like, so we're saying that just to be saying that? Don't be a dick. It's like, if you want to wish me, wish me. It's like, but don't say it just to, be a dick. But, whether you wish me or you don't, I just know I'm going to be happy. I'm good. But yeah, your next edition is going to be Wednesday, December 18th. We'll be coming on live after AEW and Dynamite goes off the air. We'll also have, on top of that, some Ring of Honor news. We didn't get a chance to talk about Final Battle tonight, so we'll talk about Final Battle and some more good. We're going to be going all over the place on the Wednesday night show. You know how we do it on that Wednesday night show. Also, while I'm still on the air, real quick, I want you guys to keep your eyes peeled, because sometime in the next 48 hours, I'm going to be releasing a survey. It is our yearly How We Doing? And I need for you guys to give your feedback, because I need to know as far as, okay, these are the shows we're thinking about pulling. These are the shows we're thinking about introducing. You know, what do you think? I want you guys to keep your eyes peeled for that. As long as you're connected to me on social media, you'll be in the loop. I'll make the announcement on the shows, but in the next 48 hours, that definitely is going to be dropping. So keep your eyes peeled. That feedback is our yearly survey that we do, and it really, I can't tell you, it really helps us out. It's nice to see a lot of people that, and it's awesome because I'll have some people, on top of doing the survey, I'll have people that'll private message me and send me an email, people I didn't even know checked out the show, whether it's established wrestlers or, you know, you name it, and it's okay, I'll work on that. Okay, cool. Or somebody just, you know, wanting to just, hey man, just wanted to share my feedback. Keep doing what you're doing, loving it. You know, it's like, okay, all right, cool, no problem. So definitely make sure you represent when you check that out. All right, get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords the RCWR show. Those of you that's going to be waiting for the audio version of this, give me a couple of hours. Give me a couple of hours, and I'll definitely have this ready to go for you guys, okay? All right, much love, everybody, and until next go round, wishing all y'all to be safe, and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Adios!